Hey, it's Chris and Gordy from Big Red Homestead. We are back. We wanted to do a video today on how we make our ground sausage breakfast patties. And we just put down one of our pigs 2.5 weeks ago, I believe. Had it hanging for about a week, letting it kind of do its thing. And then last week we did most of the breakdown, butchering, skinning, and made some sausage last week, and we're going to make a little bit more today for you guys. So we have done this recipe a couple times. This is like our 4th time making this recipe, ground sausage. We have it, and we will put the ingredients in the video so you guys can have it. But first of all, we are starting off with approximately 10 pounds of ground, or going to be ground, pork with fat. So come along with us and we will show you how to we make ground breakfast sausage. 10 pounds of cut up pork into pieces. We put it in the freezer so they get nice and chilled, so that when we run it through the grinder, we won't have so much heat from the friction. We have all the spices made up, and these are our spices. We have sage, salt, red pepper flakes, marjoram, onion powder, thyme, cayenne, clove, and of course brown sugar. We have not tried to make it with maple syrup. I want to try that. My wife is a little resistant on that right now, but eventually we will probably try some with maple syrup versus brown sugar. But what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of sprinkle this in here. Before we even put it through the grinder, we're going to kind of combine all the spices. We're going to get them all worked in a little bit. That way when we start putting it through the grinder, they can mix as they're being ground. Watching the Bearded Butchers on YouTube as well has given me a lot of ideas on how to grind meat. They make a hot dog, and they grind, I think they go through 7 times in the grinder. But this is a sausage. Sausage only needs to go through 2 times to get that bigger chunk of meat in your sausage patty. So I got it pretty well combined. There's still some dry ingredients on the bottom, but we will add all that together, especially after the first grind. The first grind, we have the biggest plate in there so that we get go from a big piece of meat, down to the next grind. We will use a smaller plate. So if you haven't noticed, we're using these bussing tubs. We got these, I believe, at Sam's Club, but they work great for doing large quantities of meat. We're just going to bring the meat over here, run it through, catch in the tub, and then do it a second time when we put the next plate on. So we'll start the grinder. Got this grinder at, I believe we bought it at Bass Pro, but it's a Cabela grinder. Eventually we'll get a bigger one, but this one works for what we do right now. So we're just going to start pushing it through. And as the meat is going through, you can see the fairly large pieces, which is fine, because the second time we go through, we will make it much smaller. And we have, some of these pieces have quite a bit of fat on them, which is good for sausage. Like there's a whole chunk of fat. But once we throw it through a second time, it mixes it even better, and we will end up having a much more homogeneous mixture. Okay, so now we have the meat all ground up, first grind. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to change the first plate right here. I don't think this is the correct way, but this is how I do it. Turn it on and push the plate out. Take the first plate out. We're going to swap it out, put the new plate in. This is a much finer grind plate. No tools required for this, just a little bit of elbow grease. on straight. Alright, so now, nice and tight. We made sure we had all the leftover spices, we mixed them into the meat. So now when we run it through the second time, the meat will combine the spices and we'll have a more even mixture of all those spices. So let's start that, turn the machine on. Alright, this is a little bit faster now because we don't have the big chunks. Put it through. You can see the spaghetti, the meat spaghetti is coming out. You never should put your finger down the grinder. My hand's too big to fit, but you never know. You can see how it looks much more even versus the big chunks in this one. This came from one of the pigs that we raised here on the farm. They are a breed of Michoud cross pigs, which are known as a lard pig. Gordy just spent the weekend, she actually rendered a bunch of lard. She ended up with a little over 1.5 gallons to almost 2 gallons of lard that she was able to jar. And we go through that pretty fast. Alright, we'll come back and show you how we patty them up, alright? Alright, so we have all our meat ground, second ground, mixed up. Now we're going to go and kind of prep them in size. I like to make our meat sizes around 4 ounces. So I have a couple already made. So I just put them on the scale, measure out 4 ounces. There you go. And I make them in a ball, and then what Gordy will do as we make this in the ball, she will start patting these up. So we're kind of working in an assembly line. So I'll have Gordy come over here and do that. Alright, so again we're making 4-ounce balls, or I'm making the 4-ounce balls, and then Gordy is going to take those, patty them up, and we will freeze them for breakfast sandwiches, or for breakfast dinner, or breakfast, or just any kind of breakfast sausage you guys normally would eat. But I think these make a good size. Probably could be a little bit smaller, but we like to eat our sausage, so that's what I do. So 4 ounces, sometimes a little bit extra. 4 ounces. And so you can see the size of these patties. The box is probably in the way. So we'll get these patted up and then we'll come back and show you the end result. Alright. So we ended up with 36 patties. Each bag has 12 patties in each. Actually, I ended up with 37, but the last one wasn't quite 4 ounces. So we are frying that up right now and we'll do a little taste test. Alright, so we took the extra patty that we had, fried it up, and we are going to taste it. Wesley wants to try some. I got a little piece for you, Wes. It's probably hot. Is it hot? You can taste the sugar. The heat comes in right at the very end with that the cayenne and the red pepper flake. And you can see the nice little crust it got on it when we fried it. But overall, I think it turned out really well. You want to try some, honey?
Sure.
Come over. But that heat kind of hits you. You don't taste the heat until the very end after you. But tell you what, we've tried a couple different recipes, and this is our favorite so far. They did again. I want to try it with some maple syrup next time. She's reluctant because she likes the brown sugar, but I think maple syrup will do good. Mmm.
Really good.
Yeah. Really good with sandwiches, right? Breakfast sandwiches. Yeah.
Egg sandwiches.
All right, guys. Well, this is Chris and Gordon on Big Red Homestead, showing you how to make pork sausages. Until next time, talk to you guys later. Bye.